All right, good morning. We are working on Unit 4, Solving Inequalities. We're going to start off with 4.1 and 4.2. I combined the first two lessons in this chapter, and they're adding and subtracting with graphs. So you probably had a little bit of experience with inequalities. So some of this you might find as a review, maybe not. So less than, obviously we need to talk about those inequality symbols. So that is less than. So that would make this less than or equal to. This is greater than, and this is greater than or equal to. So everything up to this point we have calculated, and there was one specific answer. Inequalities means that there's more than one answer, like 6 and above, or above 6, or something like that. So we have to kind of take that into play, because in reality, math happens that way. We also, a lot of times, graph inequalities. And so there's a couple things that you need to be aware of. Because there are many solutions to make an inequality true, when graphing them, you must use some open and closed dots. So if you use less than or greater than, and I said that backwards, greater than or less than, you use an open dot, which means you do not include the solution. If you use a greater than or equal to or a less than and equal to, it uses a closed dot, which means you do include it in the solution. So just a couple of things for you to keep in mind. So you do not, and then you do include it in the solution. So we're going to graph the inequality. So let's kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. So number one, C is greater than -2. C is greater than -2. And what you can do is, because there are many options here, C could be 1, C could be 0, C could be 292. It's best to graph this situation to include all the inequalities, okay? So a couple of things. When you go to graph, you're going to make this -2 kind of in the middle of your number line. From there, remember negatives, smaller, always go on to the left. Actually, any number line, the smaller numbers go on the left. So -3 and -4 go on the left because they're smaller than -2. And then you've got -1 and 0. And typically that's what I do, is I start with the -2 right here, and I do a couple of numbers above it, couple numbers below it. Now, here it says C is greater than -2. Notice it's in just a greater than, so that means I use an open dot. So at -2, I'm going to place an open dot. Maybe I'll do a different color here. Place an open dot, and then it'll show up. And then I have to decide which way my arrow is going to go. So I just take these numbers on one side or the other of the middle number, the -2 that's listed here, and I test it out. So 0 is pretty easy, so I go ahead and test out 0. Is 0 greater than -2? Is that a true statement? 0 is greater than -2. That's a true statement, meaning 0 is a solution. So once I place my open dot at -2, I'm going to go ahead and color and make it kind of dark, a big line like so. And so this is what the graph would look like. Open circle at -2, going to the right. Now, a couple of other things I want to talk about. When you're drawing your graph, do not do this, open circle and then a line. These must touch, so that doesn't work. So no to this option. I see some people go like this, just a line, or a circle with just a line with no arrow and arrow marks. So nope to this situation. And then for some reason, I see a lot of kids kind of go like this, up and over like this. There was no up going on. It starts at -2 and it goes to the right. So this is a no situation as well. Okay, so here we go. Let's try out number 2. Number 2. So A is less than or equal to 1. So again, I'm going to graph the situation. I'm going to put 1 in the very middle, and then I put my bigger numbers to the right, always, 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 2 and 3, and my smaller numbers to the left, 0, and negative 1. I always put a couple of numbers above, a couple of numbers below, so you kind of have a number line assembled. At 1, this is an equal to, meaning I include it, so I do include it, so that means it's going to be a closed dot. So let me get my blue again. I have a closed dot at 1. Okay, so now I'm going to try out again 2 in my situation. Is 2 less than or equal to 1 a true statement? It's not. It's a false statement, meaning 2 is not a solution. This line that I put here in the first one means that that negative 1 was a solution. So here, I can't have it go by 2 because that's false. So that means I'm going to go in the opposite direction right here. So I'm going to move it right there like so. And again, I make it nice and dark. Make sure you connect them, not like this. Make sure you don't go up and around. Make sure you have an end arrow mark, like so. So graphing inequalities, that's one thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do is you need to just do the opposite. I'm going to give you a graph, and then you have to give me the inequality. So here we go. Number 1 down here, write an inequality from the graph. So here's the graph I'm going to give you. It's got -6, -5, -4, -3, -2. It has, let me put it in blue, an open circle at -4, and everything goes to the left like so. Okay, so it goes to the left like so. So I need to know what's the inequality. You can write this a couple of different ways. I usually always use the variable x, but I'm going to kind of do like you had right up here in 1 and 2. And then, of course, we know the other number is that part where the circle is, so I know I'm going to have -4. So now I see that the solutions are over here. It's in this blue spot here, the -5 and the -6. So that means x is smaller. So when you go to put in your inequality symbol, you would say x is less than -4. Now, I wouldn't do an equals to because there's an open dot here. And because it's open, that means I do not include it. Now, I can go ahead. -5 was one of the solutions here. I could do it like this too. What symbol, if I have -5 and -4, because -5 is a solution, the arrow goes by -5, what inequality symbol would work there to make it a true statement? -5 is less than -4. That's what makes it true. And so then I just copy that same one above. So that's another way to look at it. All right, so here we go, number 2. Let me do another number line. I've got -1, 0, 1, 2, and 3. The graph has a closed circle at 1, and the arrow goes to the right. Goes to the right. So what would that look like? So again, I'm going to start with x. I'm going to start with 1 because that's where my circle is. Now I can go ahead and, like I said before, I know 2 is a solution. So what would make this true? 2, because this arrow went by 2, so I know 2 is a solution. So I replaced it with x. 2 is greater than 1, but notice it's a closed circle, so that would mean it's equal to. So x, or 2, is greater than or equal to 1. So that's what makes it, and I just copy it here, makes this a true statement. All right, we're going to go through 3 more. Now we're going to kind of take it up a level. And now we're going to talk about defining a variable and writing an inequality. So there are 2 things you need to do. You need to A, define a variable, and B, write an inequality. So make sure you're doing both parts. It says a bus can seat at most 48 students. So what are we counting? What are we talking about? Well, we're talking about students. So x is going to be equal to students. So B says write an inequality. Well, just like when we did word problem breakdown in the first chapter, you've got 48. I'm going to circle it as a number. The words, or words, I guess I should say, at most, are clue words. At most is going to tell us what inequality symbol. So I go ahead and put x just like I did up here for 1 and 2, writing the inequality, and then I'm going to put 48 because that's kind of my deciding factor. Now I have to think about the words at most. So thinking about the words at most, could I seat 49 people on the bus? And the answer would be no. Could I seat 36 people on the bus? According to this, it says it can seat at most 48. So that's the maximum that can go there. Could I seat 36? Yes. So I kind of use one of those. I just kind of randomly guess a number and use it with the words. So 36 is a true statement. So 36 is 48. Or 36 is a true statement. But what I need is, I know 36 is smaller than 48. So what sign would go in there? And then I have to ask myself, because 36 is less than 48, so X has to be smaller than 48. And then it says at most. Does that include 48? At most, they can seat 48 kids. So that sounds like it includes. So my inequality symbol would be X is less than or equal to 48. Meaning I can put anybody 48 students or less on the bus. Okay, so here we go, number 2. In many states, you must be at least, so at least is going to be our clue word, 16 years old to get a driver's license. So, A, define your variable. X, it looks like we're talking about age or years to get a driver's license. B, write in inequality. So I know I have X on one side, I have 16 on the other. So you must be at least 16. So what if I say 18? At least 16. 18 is a true statement, so 18 is greater than 16. Now I have to decide, do I include it? It says at least 16. Is 16 an age that can be included for a driver's license? And it is. So that makes that a true statement, and I copy that inequality symbol over. Okay, last but not least, it says the Blue Angels make more than, there's my clue word, 75 appearances each year. Now, Blue Angels, if you don't know, they are an airplane group. They come from, I believe, the Air Force. I could be wrong on that. Maybe not Air Force. I don't know. But anyway, they fly planes. If you've never seen them, I highly recommend you go see them. They are awesome. You're on your edge of the seat the whole time, and I was like gasping, like, it's very cool. But anyway, Blue Angels make more than 75 appearances each year. So now X this time is appearances. And so B, when I go to write my inequality, I know I have X and I have 75. Now it says more than. So that means X has got to be bigger than 75. So maybe they make 80 appearances. So that makes it a true statement. So 80 is greater than 75. Now, is it equal to? Is it equal to more than 75 appearances? So do they make exactly 75? Not according to that verbiage. It says more than. So therefore, it wouldn't be an equal to. It would just be a greater than. And there you have it. All right, first part of inequalities. We will continue in another video.